My daughter's fiancé checked his phone again, his eyes darting toward the closed door of my study. Third time in 20 minutes. Sarah didn't notice. She was too busy showing her mother's old friends the engagement ring, but I did. Marcus Chen had been dating my daughter for 8 months. 28 years old, charming smile, always wore expensive watches. He told us he was a senior product manager at Tech Vision Solutions, pulling in $200,000 a year. Sarah met him at a networking event in downtown Seattle, and she'd been glowing ever since. "Mr. Harrison, you must be so proud," Marcus said, finally putting his phone down. "Sarah tells me you worked in tech before retiring?" I nodded slowly, setting down my coffee. "Just programming, nothing fancy." "Dad's being modest," Sarah jumped in. "He worked for 30 years before he retired. Hasn't touched a computer since Mom died." That part was true. After Linda passed 3 years ago from cancer, I'd shut down, sold my car, stopped going to the gym, let the house fall into gentle disrepair. Sarah had been worried about me living alone in this old Craftsman in Ballard, but I told her I needed the space to grieve. Marcus smiled, but something flickered behind his eyes. "What company did you work for?" "Different places. Moved around a lot." I stood up. "Anyone want more coffee?" When I came back from the kitchen, Marcus was standing near my study door, not touching it, just standing there, phone in hand, that same calculating look on his face. "Bathroom's down the hall," I said quietly. He jumped slightly. "Oh, I know. Just admiring the woodwork. This house is incredible. Must be worth, what, 700,000 in this neighborhood?" Sarah frowned. "Marcus, that's rude." No, it's fine," I said, but I made a mental note. Second time he'd brought up money. First time was last week, when he asked about my retirement savings, just making conversation. That night, after they left, I sat in my study for the first time in months. Linda's reading glasses were still on the desk where she'd left them. I picked them up, remembering how she used to tease me about being paranoid. "Not everyone's out to get you, Robert," she'd say. "Sometimes people are just people." But 35 years in Silicon Valley taught me different. I'd seen enough vultures to recognize one. I opened my laptop, my real laptop, not the old Dell I kept in the living room for show. 3 monitors flickered to life in the darkness. I pulled up my private encrypted system and typed a name, Marcus Chen. What I found in the next hour made my blood run cold. Marcus Chen, age 32. Not 28, like he told Sarah. Previously worked at 3 different tech startups, lasted less than a year at each. No Stanford MBA like he claimed. Community college dropout. Currently suspended from Tech Vision Solutions, pending an investigation into expense report fraud. But that wasn't the worst part. I found his private Instagram account, photos from last month at a bar in Capitol Hill. Him and a woman named Jessica Torres, kissing. Comments from friends asking when the wedding was. His response, "Soon. Just have to close one more deal." I sat back, my hands shaking. My little girl. My Sarah, who still brought me soup when I had a cold. Who'd held my hand at Linda's funeral and promised we'd get through it together. She was about to marry a con artist. I picked up my phone to call her, then stopped. Sarah was stubborn like her mother. If I came at her with screenshots and accusations, she'd think I was the paranoid old man who couldn't let go. She'd defend him, maybe even cut me off to prove she was an adult who could make her own choices. No, I needed proof she couldn't deny. I needed her to see it herself. I opened a new browser window and logged into a system I hadn't touched in 3 years. My executive access to Tech Vision Solutions. Because I wasn't just any retired programmer. I was Robert Harrison, founder and former CEO of Tech Vision Solutions. The company I'd built from nothing in my garage 30 years ago, grown to 1,500 employees, and sold for $800 million before retiring to spend time with Linda during her final years. Marcus Chen wasn't a senior product manager. He was a junior analyst who'd been caught embezzling $50,000. He was currently on unpaid suspension while HR decided whether to press charges. And somehow, he'd found out who Sarah's father was. The next morning, I called my old assistant, Jennifer Park. She'd stayed with the company after the acquisition, now VP of Operations. Robert, oh my God, it's been 3 years. How are you? I need a favor, Jen, and I need you to keep it quiet. I explained about Marcus. I heard her sharp intake of breath. Jesus. I knew something was off about that guy. Robert, I'm so sorry, but there's more. Tell me. Marcus has been digging. He filed a weird HR request last month asking about former executives' retirement packages. We shut it down, but he's been asking around. Apparently, he told people in his department that he was close to a major financial breakthrough. My stomach turned. He thinks Sarah's my only heir. And with you appearing to be just a lonely widower, Robert, I think he's planning to marry her, isolate her from you, and then, I know, I closed my eyes. The playbook was classic. Make the old man seem senile or incompetent. Get power of attorney. Drain the accounts. By the time anyone realized what happened, the money would be gone, and so would Marcus. What do you need from me? Jennifer asked. Everything you have on him. Employment records, the fraud investigation, timeline, and I need you to do something else. 2 weeks later, Sarah called me, excited. Dad, Marcus got promoted. He's now Director of Strategic Partnerships. Can you believe it? I could believe it, because I'd asked Jennifer to approve the promotion. Nothing official, just an internal announcement. I needed Marcus to feel confident, arrogant. I needed him to make a mistake. That's wonderful, sweetie. You two should celebrate. Actually, that's why I'm calling. Marcus wants to have an engagement party. Something small. Just family and close friends. Would you be okay hosting it here? The house is so beautiful, and Marcus loves it. Of course he did. He wanted to show off the asset he was about to acquire. I'd be honored, I said. The week before the party, Sarah came over to help me clean. We were in the kitchen when she said quietly, Dad, are you doing okay? Financially, I mean. I paused, dish towel in hand. Why do you ask? I know Mom's medical bills were expensive. And you've been retired for a while? Marcus offered to help if you need anything. Maybe a financial advisor or Sarah. I turned to face her. Did Marcus suggest you ask me this? She blushed. He's just worried about you. He said sometimes elderly people get taken advantage of because they're not good with technology anymore. Elderly. I was 65, not 90, but I swallowed my anger. I appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. Okay. She hugged me. I just want to make sure you're taken care of. You're all I have left. That's when I knew I had to act fast. Marcus was already planting seeds, making Sarah worry about me, positioning himself as the responsible son-in-law who'd have to step in and manage the incompetent old man's affairs. The night of the engagement party, 50 people crowded into my house. Sarah's friends from college, her coworkers, my neighbors, a few of Linda's old book club members who still checked on me, and Marcus, holding court in my living room, one hand around Sarah's waist, talking about their future. We're thinking destination wedding, he announced. Somewhere tropical. Sarah deserves the best. Must be expensive, someone said. Marcus smiled. Nothing's too expensive for my girl. Besides, we've got some family resources to pull from, right, Robert? Every eye turned to me. I was standing in the corner, dressed in my usual retired guy uniform. Old cardigan, khakis, sensible shoes. I'm just happy she's happy, I said softly. Marcus's smile widened. He thought he had me. The doddering old fool who'd hand over everything if it made his daughter smile. Sarah squeezed his hand, beaming. She had no idea. Actually, Marcus continued, pulling out his phone, I wanted to take this moment to share some exciting news. I just got promoted again at TechVision. They're making me VP of Innovation. Youngest VP in company history. Murmurs of congratulation rippled through the room. Sarah gasped, kissing him. Why didn't you tell me? Wanted it to be a surprise. He pulled up an email on his phone, showing people. I recognized it immediately. He'd photoshopped a fake promotion letter. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. He was lying, in front of witnesses, about my company. I pulled out my own phone and sent a single text to Jennifer. Now. That's incredible, Marcus, I said, walking toward him. VP of Innovation at TechVision. That's a prestigious role. What will you be working on? He didn't miss a beat. Several projects. Confidential stuff. NDA. You know how it is. But big things. Revolutionary AI integration. Blockchain applications. Tech Vision doesn't work on blockchain, I interrupted quietly. We divested from that sector in 2021. Marcus blinked. Well, we're exploring, and there is no VP of Innovation position. We eliminated that role 3 years ago during restructuring. The room went silent. Sarah looked between us, confused. Dad, what are you? My phone buzzed. Jennifer's text. Email sent. Marcus, I said, I think you should check your work email. His face paled. What? Your email. From TechVision HR. Should have come through about 30 seconds ago. He looked at his phone. I watched the color drain from his face as he read. What does it say? Sarah asked, a note of fear in her voice. Marcus's hand was shaking. There's been some kind of mistake. No mistake, I said. That's your termination letter. TechVision Solutions is officially ending your employment, effective immediately, and forwarding evidence of embezzlement to the King County Prosecutor's Office. Gasps erupted around the room. Sarah grabbed Marcus's phone, reading the email. Her hand flew to her mouth. You stole $50,000, she whispered. You've been suspended for 3 months, and you lied to me? Sarah, baby, let me explain. And you're 32, not 28. And you never went to Stanford. And this promotion. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. How long have you known? 2 weeks, I said gently. I needed to be sure. I needed proof you could see. Marcus straightened up, his charm melting away into something cold and calculating. You self-righteous old man. You think you're so smart? Sarah was going to be my ticket, my way out. You're sitting on millions while you rot in this house feeling sorry for yourself. Sarah would have inherited it all. And I would have. Would have what? I asked. Convinced her I was senile, filed for power of attorney, drained the accounts and disappeared? I've seen your type before, Marcus. You're not clever. You're just greedy. He lunged at me. 2 of my neighbors, former Marines, caught him by the arms. You ruined everything, Marcus screamed. Do you know how long I worked on this? 8 months of pretending to care about your boring daughter and her dead mother's stories and your stupid house. Sarah slapped him. The sound cracked through the room like thunder. Get out, she said, her voice shaking. Get out of my father's house and out of my life. Marcus jerked free from the neighbors and stormed toward the door. He turned back one more time. You'll regret this, both of you. I know people, lawyers. I'll sue, for breach of. Of what? I asked calmly. You were never entitled to anything, and if you try to contact Sarah or me again, I'll make sure every tech company in Seattle knows exactly what you did. You'll never work in this city again. He left, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then Sarah collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I knelt beside her, my old knees protesting, and took her hands. I'm so sorry, baby. I wanted to tell you sooner, but you were protecting me. She looked up, mascara running down her face, like you always do. God, Dad, I was so stupid. How did I not see it? You're not stupid. He was convincing. That's what con artists do. One of Sarah's friends, Amy, brought her tissues. Mr. Harrison, how did you know to check into him? I hesitated. This was the moment. I could keep playing the simple retired programmer, keep my secret, or I could trust Sarah with the truth. Because, I said slowly, I know TechVision Solutions very well. I founded it in 1988. I was CEO until 3 years ago when I sold the company to stay home with Linda during her cancer treatments. The sale was $800 million. I've been living quietly since then, because I didn't want Sarah to be targeted by people like Marcus. Sarah stared at me. But you said you were just a programmer. I was. For the first 5 years. Then I became a manager, then VP, then CEO. But after your mom died, I didn't want the attention. I wanted to grieve in peace. I wanted to be just your dad, not Robert Harrison, the tech CEO. $800 million, Sarah repeated faintly. Dollars. The bulk of it is in trusts and foundations. Linda and I set up scholarships, cancer research funding. But yes, there's still quite a bit left. And Marcus found out somehow. He worked for Tech Vision. He must have heard something, done some digging. When he met you and heard your last name, put two and two together. He saw an opportunity. Sarah was quiet for a long time. The party guests had started to filter out, giving us privacy, murmuring support as they left. Finally, she looked up at me. You let him think you were poor. I let him think I was vulnerable. I needed to know what he really wanted, and I needed you to see it. The promotion you gave him that was fake too? The announcement was real. The position wasn't. I had Jennifer floated internally to see if it would make Marcus cocky enough to lie about it publicly. He didn't disappoint. Sarah started to laugh, a slightly hysterical sound. My dad, the secret millionaire, running corporate espionage on my lying fiancé. This is insane. I prefer to think of it as due diligence. She hugged me then, hard enough to hurt my old ribs. Thank you. God, thank you. What if I'd married him? What if you didn't? That's what matters. We sat on the floor of my living room, surrounded by abandoned champagne glasses and half-eaten appetizers, and for the first time since Linda died, I didn't feel alone in this house. Dad, Sarah said after a while, why did you really stop working? It wasn't just Mom's cancer, was it? I sighed. Your mother and I had everything. Money, success, a beautiful daughter, but we missed so much of your childhood. I was always working, always traveling. I promised Linda that if we got a second chance, I'd choose differently. When she got sick, I realized the second chance was now. So I sold the company, and we had 3 beautiful years together before she died. Best decision I ever made. But you've been so sad, so isolated. I was lost, I admitted. I didn't know who to be anymore. Not CEO Robert, not Linda's husband, just me. A 65-year-old man in a too big house with too many memories. And I brought a con artist into your life. You brought yourself into my life. Every Sunday dinner, every phone call checking on me. Sarah, you're the reason I'm still here. She wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now? You take some time. Maybe see a therapist, not because you're broken, but because 8 months with a manipulator can mess with your head. You heal, and when you're ready, you try again with someone worthy of you. And what about you? I looked around my study, at Linda's glasses, at the monitors I'd woken up for the first time in years. Maybe it's time I stopped hiding. I could consult, mentor young founders, do some good with what I know. You could come work with me, Sarah said suddenly. I'm starting my own marketing firm next month. I could use a business advisor who knows what he's doing. I smiled. I thought you worked for an agency? I did. But after seeing you take down Marcus like some kind of corporate ninja, I realized something. I'm my father's daughter. It's time I stopped playing it safe. 3 months later, I walked into a coffee shop in Capitol Hill and sat down across from Marcus Chen. He looked thinner, haunted. There were dark circles under his eyes. What do you want? He muttered. I slid an envelope across the table. A chance. He opened it suspiciously. Inside was a cashier's check for $10,000 and a letter. What is this? The $50,000 you stole from Tech Vision? They're dropping the charges on one condition. You pay it back and agree to a 5-year payment plan. This $10,000 is a head start. The letter is a job offer from a friend of mine in Portland. Entry-level tech support. It pays $40,000 a year. It's honest work. Marcus stared at the check. Why would you do this? Because my wife believed everyone deserved a second chance. She would have wanted me to at least offer you one. What you do with it is up to you. I was horrible to your daughter. To you, yes, you were. But you're 32 years old. You've got time to become someone different, someone better. Or you can keep running cons until you end up in prison. Your choice. I stood up to leave. Marcus called after me. Mr. Harrison? Thank you. I don't deserve this. No, I agreed. You don't. But Linda would have said, that's exactly why you need it. I never heard from Marcus again. I heard through Jennifer that he took the job in Portland, paid off his debt, and moved to Colorado. I hope he made something of that second chance. As for Sarah, her marketing firm took off faster than either of us expected. I invested in it officially this time, as her business partner. We had lunch every Tuesday, and she made me promise to stop pretending to be someone I wasn't. The whole neighborhood thinks you're just a nice old widower, she teased. I am a nice old widower. I just also happen to know a thing or two about business. On what would have been Linda's 65th birthday, Sarah and I scattered her ashes in the Puget Sound, at the beach where we'd gotten married 40 years ago. Sarah stood beside me, her hand in mine, and we watched the sun set over the water. She'd be proud of you, Sarah said, for protecting me, for giving Marcus a chance to change. She'd be proud of both of us, I replied. We're doing okay, aren't we? Yeah, Dad, we're doing okay. And we were. My house felt less empty now. Sarah came over for Sunday dinners like always, but now she brought friends, employees, sometimes dates that I vetted carefully, though never as aggressively as I'd investigated Marcus. The study that had sat dark for 3 years was now my home office, where I mentored 3 young founders and served on 2 nonprofit boards. I was still Robert Harrison, widower, father, and yes, retired tech CEO. But more than that, I was someone who'd remembered what mattered. Not the money or the success or the reputation, just love, just family, just making sure the people you care about are safe and seen and protected. And if that sometimes meant turning into a corporate ninja to take down a con artist at an engagement party, well, even nice old widowers need hobbies.